AI historical revival, deciphering mechanical wonders that modern science still debates. Setting aside the grand constructions of the pharaohs, in Sinai, there is an even more sophisticated engineering marvel, rising from the dust and the hands of slaves. A solid gold-plated mosque stands firm in the void. No factories, no supply sources. A logistical nightmare has been realized with breathtaking precision. This was not merely a temple for worship. It was the very first impossible mission undertaken by the history of mankind. They had no supply chains and no modern tools, yet they attempted to build a structure that would defy all logic. How did a wandering tribe possess the resources and the architectural genius to create a masterpiece in the middle of nowhere? The answer lies in two names, Bezalel and Oholiab. Slaves turned into master engineers, their minds awakened by a divine intelligence. They were not just artisans. They were the conduits of a supernatural wisdom that transformed manual labor into high-precision engineering. Brickmakers who only knew mud were suddenly cutting gemstones and weaving intricate patterns that would baffle modern jewelers today. They visualized a structure where every loop, clasp, and beam had to fit with a tolerance of less than a millimeter. The paradox is striking. In a land of death and grey dust, they manufactured colors of royalty and life. Tons of silver were collected, not for commerce, but to create the heavy foundation sockets that would anchor the holy sanctuary. They worked through the freezing desert nights, driven by a vision that was far greater than their physical exhaustion or hunger. Under their guidance, a chaotic crowd of former slaves became a disciplined workforce, executing a complex architectural plan with absolute perfection. This was the anomaly, a leap in technology and craftsmanship that historians and archaeologists still struggle to fully comprehend today. Gold melts at 1064 degrees Celsius, a hellish temperature to achieve in the middle of a vast desert. To conquer this metal, they turned acacia wood into super charcoal and used their own lungs as human bellows for hours. Watch the liquid fire flow. They were fighting against the laws of thermodynamics, pushing the boundaries of primitive chemistry to the limit. Every overlay was a battle. The gold had to be thin enough to be light, yet thick enough to endure. Acacia wood is twisted and hard as stone. Taming it required patience and tools that had to be constantly sharpened and repaired. They covered the organic imperfections of the wood with the eternal purity of gold, creating a composite material of immense strength. Unlike the crude idol they once made in fear, these new creations were born from discipline, precision, and a higher calling. Consider the menorah, hammered from a single talent of pure gold. No welding, no soldering, just one continuous, miraculous piece. Polishing the surface until it was flawless mirrored glass. They were not just building furniture, they were preparing a throne. The smoke of their furnaces rose day and night, a testament to the relentless industrial effort occurring in the wilderness. These rings were crucial. They allowed the heavy sacred objects to be transported without human hands ever touching the holy vessels. Every ounce of gold was paid for with gallons of sweat. The metallurgy of the tabernacle was a victory of will. Standing amidst the dunes, the golden boards reflected the sun so brightly they could be seen for miles across the plains. This was ancient mass production, a coordinated effort to process precious metals on a scale that rivals industrial operations. When the fires finally died down, what remained was not just metal, but a physical manifestation of their devotion and skill. The tabernacle was not a fixed building. It was a mobile machine, a modular marvel designed to move with the cloud. Every single socket of silver and pillar of acacia wood had to align perfectly, or the structure would collapse instantly. Imagine dismantling a solid gold cathedral in minutes. It required a logistical system that was centuries ahead of its time. 5 bars held the walls together, a locking mechanism that provided flexibility against the wind, yet rigidity for the structure. In the open desert, wind is the enemy. The structure was designed to flex, absorb the energy, and stand unshakable. Bronze pegs and intricate rope systems anchored the courtyard. Simple physics applied with divine wisdom to withstand the elements. It was a heavy transport challenge. Merari's clan managed the heavy frames, while others carried the sacred furniture on their shoulders. 4 layers of covering, not just for beauty, but a sophisticated insulation system against the scorching sun and freezing nights. Inside, The temperature was controlled, the acoustics dampened, a sanctuary of silence protected from the howling wilderness outside. This modular genius allowed a nation of millions to carry their God's house with them, turning the desert into a home. Strict protocols governed the packing. One mistake in handling the holy objects could result in immediate death for the bearers. Security was paramount. The most valuable cargo in the ancient world was vulnerable during transit, yet it was never lost. And when the cloud stopped, the city of gold rose again, a cycle of construction and deconstruction that forged their identity. Finally, the veil was hung, a barrier of blue, purple, and scarlet, woven with cherubim, guarding the way to the Absolute. Silence fell over the camp as the Ark of the Covenant was placed. The heart of the machine was now in position. Moses inspected the work. Every hook, every thread, every board matched the pattern shown to him on the mountain. Then it happened. The moment history changed. The atmosphere grew heavy, charging with an energy that made the air vibrate. The cloud of glory descended. A structure built by human hands was suddenly occupied by the creator of the universe. Moses himself could not enter. The density of the divine presence was too great. The impossible had become reality. It was no longer just gold and wood. It was a portal, a physical intersection between the finite earth and the infinite heaven. Consider the high priest. He wore a breastplate of 12 precious stones, acting as a living interface with this divine energy. On his shoulders, he carried the names of the tribes. He was the representative of the people, standing in the blast zone of holiness. Golden bells on his hem rang as he moved, a signal that he was still alive inside the chamber of intense glory. The incense recipe was precise and exclusive, a chemical compound designed to represent the prayers of the people rising up. 12 loaves of bread replaced weekly, a simple symbol of provision amidst the grandeur, reminding them of their daily dependence. The bronze laver was made from the mirrors of the women. Instruments of vanity were melted down to become instruments of purity. This system required blood. It was a visceral reminder that approaching the divine came with a cost, a life for a life. The fire on the altar was never to go out, a perpetual flame maintained by the priests, symbolizing unceasing devotion. In a world of darkness and superstition, the tabernacle stood as a beacon of order, beauty, and revelation. This portable tent set the blueprint for the great stone temples that would follow, but its mobility made it unique. Today, architects marvel at its dimensions. It utilized the golden ratio long before the Greeks claimed to have discovered it. Some scholars even see parallels between its structure and the biological cells of life. A design code written into reality. White for purity, blue for heaven, purple for royalty, scarlet for sacrifice. A visual language that spoke without words. For a child born in the desert, this gold structure was the only world of beauty they knew amidst the sand. The men who built it would die in the desert, but their work would carry the presence of God into the promised land. It would cross rivers, circle conquered cities, and eventually rest in Shiloh, the tent that conquered the wilderness. Its path was not logical. It followed the cloud, a wandering palace that proved God was not fixed to one location. 50 chapters of the Bible are devoted to this structure. More than creation, more than the fall, that is its significance. Ultimately, the tabernacle was a physical model for a spiritual truth, a blueprint for how the divine meets the human heart. It remains the most improbable construction project in history, a golden paradox that defied the harsh reality of the desert. Gold, silver, bronze, linen, wood, materials of the earth transformed by faith into a dwelling place for the Almighty. It taught us that true wonder isn't just in the materials used, but in the spirit that inhabits the structure. Even today, recreating it is a massive challenge. It stands as a testament to a lost era of devoted craftsmanship. The Tabernacle of Moses, an impossible wonder, a golden mystery that continues to shine through the sands of time. Thank you for watching this journey into the past. Subscribe to AI Historical Revival for more uncovered mysteries. Goodbye.